Welcome to the Grace Space, a transmission for the sovereign soul.
Was that time as well. So I had this like meltdown and I was like, I don't know what it is I'm looking for anymore. I can't figure it out. I was just raw with tears because I was just, and sadness and grief. And I didn't know where I was going or what direction to take. And I'd, I'd invested all this finance and money and courses and thinking this was the direction I needed to go in. And just in that state, I just heard the words, it's in your waters. It's in your waters. So I'm like sobbing and I'm like, oh, what? I'm crying. And it's like, it's in your waters. I was trying to like figure out what does it mean by it's in your waters? I couldn't, so I just Googled it. I'm like, okay, I'm giving it up. It's in your waters. Just throw that out there and see what happens. And then that's when I came across the urine therapy.
Hey everyone, real quick before we begin, if this content matters to you, you're warmly invited to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, to leave a comment, or all three. I read all the comments, and your engagement is really important because when you engage, it tells YouTube to push this content out to more people who would find value in it. Now that I understand this, I engage a lot more with the channels that are important to me because I know it really matters. Thanks for listening. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Grace Space. So today's a conversation that I hope will stretch the boundaries of what we think we know about the body, maybe even life itself. This is gonna, I think, knock your socks off. My guest today is Fiona Gardner. Fiona is an independent researcher who works with microscopy. She looks under the microscope, and the terrain paradigm of health, terrain theory as opposed to germ theory. Through years of observation, Fiona has been studying something that most of us rarely stop to think about, and that's the living intelligence within our body fluids, particularly what we commonly call urine. She prefers to call it ultra-filtrated plasma. Now, medically, the word for urine is plasma ultrafiltrate. So Fiona describes it as plasma. And I think that's really cool. Using the microscope, she explores this dynamic field within plasma, the movement, the crystallization, the patterns that appear, and what they reveal about our vitality, our emotional imprinting, the body's extraordinary capacity to communicate with itself and, I don't know, with the universe. It just blows your mind when you see these images, which you're going to see on the video. It's as if you're looking into outer space. It's just uncanny. I think it will give you a whole new appreciation for the level of communication and intelligence that is present at all times, even after your fluids, your plasma leaves your body and is no longer connected to you. It's still connected to you. It's amazing. So in this conversation, we explored a lot of different things, you know, the terrain model of health, the concept of plasma as a living intelligence, how trauma and experiences can imprint themselves within the bodily fluids, the relationship between water and consciousness and biological coherence, and the profound shift in self-perception that occurs when we begin to see the body not as a machine to control or some kind of faulty organism, as we've been taught, but as a divinely intelligent ecosystem. And that feels like the understatement of the year. So we also talk about something that can be challenging for many people at first, urine therapy or shivambu, the practice that of using your urine to amplify your health that's existed for thousands of years, and that, invites us to reconsider our cultural conditioning around the body and its processes, and how our minds and beliefs have been shaped to reject what comes from us. This is just, something we can heal from. So, whether or not this practice resonates with you personally, I have been practicing urine therapy for a number of years now. The deeper invitation here is something that anybody can relate to. It's rethinking our relationship with our own biology and perhaps rediscovering the reverence that naturally arises when we begin to see ourselves as connected, part of a vast, living, intelligent, divine system, organic system. So take a breath, relax your mind, and allow this conversation to unfold. Here's my discussion with Fiona Gardner. Welcome to the grace space, Fiona. I feel like it's been a long road for us to be able to coordinate this, and I'm so grateful that you're here.
Oh yes, thank you so much for the invitation. And it kind of has been a bit of a journey, but like they say, it's all in divine timing.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been following your channel for a while now, and I've just been so inspired by these amazing images that you continually post. And, I just would love to hear something about your journey. Like, how did you come to do what you do? Can you explain, like, what it is you do? The elevator speech version of what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Right. So I think so because I work with a microscope, so I feel like, okay, so context for it is I work for the Beagleson Academy. I've kind of been in that environment for over since 2010. So I didn't have like any official training with a microscope or stuff like that. So it was pretty good not to have any training and be trained by a certain group of people to learn something new because I was learning a lot of different things about the body, especially when it comes to like germ theory and terrain theory. So the Beagleton Academy is very is it's all about like the terrain paradigm. The intelligence and the design of the body. And that innate wisdom. And Harvey Beagleson was my doctor at the time. So I was learning a lot of things, and I was learning how they look at blood in a very specific way, where they're looking at activity and what Harvey was explaining to me, like the plasma field. And I'm like, what's this plasma field? I was so excited, and he would explain to me how it's actually our chi life force. And he could tell looking at somebody's blood at this like plasma field, he could explain their vitality, their health, so many things just on this activity and its tone. And also the way we look at blood at the Beagleson Academy is we look at holograms. So we're looking at an image that represents somewhere in that person's body where there's a block, where there's stagnation, and that's usually related to emotions, past experience. And you can see how the body is still holding on to those experiences and how that person's health, vitality, and life is still being governed by that experience. So that's kind of where I came into that of learning about plasma, what plasma is. That's okay, it's this chi life force, and okay, wow, this is incredible. Microscope, because one thing I've always been fascinated with as a child is the small world, of even taking like the macro photography. I'd keep wanting to go deeper and deeper within the smallest thing because as a child, I always had the and it was just always there. I was like, yeah, I've got to see God's face. It was kind of like this thing, just, and I don't want to even go into my childhood too much, but it was this exploration of who is this creator, this God? I want to see his face. Some people would say, "Oh, you are the doubting Thomas," and I'm like, "No, I just come wired in this time. I just want," and it's just like so. It's been a search all through my childhood and teenage and life. It's molded and mapped me in so many ways. So here I was with Harvey Beagleson and learning this new thing about my body and knowing that I always believed that we were incredibly powerful, intelligently designed beings, and all this stuff, even as a child growing up, the influence of the television and media and the things my mum and dad believed, everything, I questioned everything. I think it drove my parents insane, but I'm innately curious. And as a child, nature and color and texture just gives me so much like excitement and wonder. So just being naturally curious. So I was in the sorry, so I'll go back to being looking at the blood. Um, and I also started another course at the time where I was looking at soil biology because I was learning okay, about the terrain of the body, that we're like the soil and the plants and the trees. And we operate in a very similar way, within us, even our platelets that we have within our blood, they're plant-based. So there's this connection we have. So I was like, okay, let's look into soil. Maybe I want to do soil analysis because I'd been in agriculture for the last 12 years as well. So I was looking in soil and it was great. I was seeing all these things. And I think I heard my teacher when on a podcast we were listening to talking about, yeah, we gotta kill that bacteria, that might, and I went, oh my God, here we are, there's still people, because anyone that wants to exterminate, kill, destroy, I'm like, to me, that's an oxymoron. So I was like, okay, I don't want to go in this direction with this teacher. It's not helping. And so I had kind of a meltdown because we were in that time of where we were told to stay indoors or
Mm.
so it was that time as well. So I had this like meltdown. And I was like, I don't know what it is I'm looking for anymore. I can't figure it out. I was just raw with tears because and sadness and grief. And I didn't know where I was going or what direction to take. And I'd, I'd invested all this finance and money in courses and thinking this was the direction I needed to go in. And just in that state, I just heard the words, it's in your waters. It's in your waters. So I'm like sobbing and I'm like, oh, what? I'm crying. And it's like, it's in your waters. I was trying to like figure out what does it mean by it's in your waters? I couldn't, so I just Googled it. I'm like, okay, I'm giving it up. It's in your waters. Just throw that out there and see what happens. And then that's when I came across the urine therapy, Shivambu. And I can't remember her name right now. I listened to her experience as she was starting this journey and what she was doing each day, and I kept hearing this. It's in your waters, and I was like, so I was Googling a lot about urine, and here I am in this terrain world, looking at blood, learning about the plasma field, and and it says, oh, urine is ultrafiltrated plasma, and everything just exploded inside me. I went, oh my God, what the heck? I'm just learning that now. It was like all this, like, everything, all kinds of stuff just eliminated itself. And I went bang on, and it was like, ah. It's just one of those moments. I was so grateful. I was like, oh my God, so I haven't stopped since. I just haven't stopped exploring and real and it is a relearning. It's a relearning about yourself. It breaks down all kinds of barriers, thoughts, beliefs, structures. It shifts your whole self-love lens. to a point of like, because I know when it shifted with me, I thought, oh my God, I thought I understood what self-love was. And I did not have a clue, but I was like, oh, to all my clients, friends, oh, yeah, it's all, self-love this, and, all the things you have to do to feel feminine and divine and to love yourself and everything else. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this breaks down so many beliefs and things that I have thought about myself, that I have constructed as an illusion in this world because of outer influence. Um, and how my perception has been molded in these ways by these belief systems that are literally lies. And not just lies, information that's withheld, and then misinformation and disinformation on top of that. So no wonder humans feel confused, because it's a brilliant way to keep us. Well, I don't know. Should I believe it? Shouldn't I believe it? This person over here says this, and then this person over here says that. So when so yeah, so being in when I was then taking my plasma back into my body, and then realizing that, oh, okay, yeah, you don't die after 3 days of drinking water, because these are all things I was told, to believe that you do some. I was like, so life changed and I changed, and I've stayed hooked since. And there's still so so go back to, oh, I looked up urine's plasma and I went, no way. Okay, so I have to look at urine under the microscope because it's plasma. And in my mind, I had no preconceived really of what am I going to see. I was just curious because I'd been looking at water and blood. So in my mind, somewhere, I thought, oh, I wonder if the plasma has the holograms that I see in the blood. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to see the plasma tone and activity because that's a part of the plasma when we're looking at blood. So when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, I can see the plasma tone and the activity. Um, I was seeing some similar holograms that you see in the blood, but then I was seeing something else. And I was like, okay, there's something else going on here. There's something very different because when we take the blood, it comes out the body. We're actually physically puncturing the skin, the is that as trauma. That's something's trying to break through. So we were taking blood from the body, from the finger. So to me, my makeup was like it hasn't fully alchemized round the body through the water system, from the heart resonance, and then into the kidneys, because the kidneys, that's another force field area that blood is coming through, where it has all kinds of, well, it goes under pressure anyway. So I was trying to explain that I had no, like, I wasn't like thinking, ooh, I want to see this, I want to see that. I was just like, okay, we're probably going to see these things. And it was very different. So yeah, so it's kind of like I think I don't know, you maybe I'll stop there because I'm kind of like warbling on.
Oh, well, I am made of questions. I am
Okay, great.
fascinated by everything you said. And there, I mean, you really speaking my language. I had a very similar experience after I really committed to urotherapy practice. I had kind of been dabbling for several years, but not full on. And when for my own reasons, just knew that I had to go fully in. I had the same experience of self-love, the same very deep embodied realizations about self-love that you're describing, and I had exactly the same feeling that I had never understood what that meant, that what it actually was completely different from what I had projected onto it.
Right.
It
Yeah.
really healed me, healed my self-loathing
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
like deep, more than just personal, but like this programming that we're talking about, where we've been taught as humans, we've been taught to despise our own nature.
Yeah.
It was that deep that I
Yeah.
felt going into me and healing and like loving me back to myself. I mean, it was the most intimate experience that I had ever had up until then, and I couldn't even really articulate it. So it's great hearing you say that because I felt it when you spoke it, I felt the resonance of my own experience, and I feel that we experienced the same thing there. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to share that. And I mean, can I ask some basic questions just to
Yeah.
situate us along your timeline, which is fascinating? Do you consider yourself a biologist? Is that your like title, or did you?
Um, well, while I just call myself I'm just an independent researcher,
Okay.
really. I don't have letters or titles after my name. I have studied in lots of different things. Very curious. Because I've had health issues since a child, so health and wellness has always been something that I've wanted to explore. I've always been interested in it because I've wanted to be healthy.
Yeah.
I've wanted to be well. So
The
yeah.
institute that you work for, I'm fascinated. I hadn't heard of it before. Where is it? What is their mission statement? What are they studying there? And then I want to talk about plasma.
Oh, well, it's called Eagleson Academy. We're online. We do everything remotely. Josh and Adam Beagleson, they do a lot of live events, in person and online. So there is a lot of content out there about them and what they do and how they work. Um, what else? Sorry, I forgot the question. What was the question?
Well, I was just curious about the actual institute, and
Oh
and
yeah,
how
so
did you get involved? And is that where you started looking under the microscope?
that was how I had access to a microscope
Ah,
through them with working with them. So yeah, I was in a pretty privileged place. I'd
yeah.
say
Well,
because I'd been on a journey looking, a health journey, and that to Harvey Beeson because I was at a point where I just thought I had some mystery disease that nobody knew about. I'd been through medical doctors and the abuse and just all the way they handle things. S-
hmm,
yeah, so I arrived there with them. Sorry, I keep forgetting the question that you asked
okay, that's
about
all right.
them. So we do blood consults. So it's all online and also run, to so which is really grounded in looking at your totally different way, and it is based in the terrain paradigm, so it's like a re-education, um, and it's layered. The courses are layered as you go through them, so you learn more and more because some people want to be and do this work because there's a lot of people that do live blood work,
Yeah.
but that's not really what we do. We're looking at blood in a very, very different way, whereas a lot of people that look at live blood, will normally put people on supplements or some kind of detoxification or cleansing regime, whereas we look at the body in a simpler way because what the holograms are actually showing us, they're showing us the root cause of something that's going on in the body. So and the body doesn't like to be forced. It doesn't like to be made to do things. It's very intelligent and it works things out very efficiently because it has an incredible communication system. So this hologram, so when we look at them, we see the holograms and we go, okay, there's so say um I'm looking, I can see like the pelvis area. I say we're looking at a woman. And this is recently a friend of mine. So I'm looking at the pelvis and we can see it looks very black and very brown. And it's twisted into different shapes. And she won't mind me saying this, but this represents like sexual abuse. So she's been sexually abused, and it's still an area from a child, and now she's an adult that is governing and is still alive in her nervous system. It's not been dealt with. It's there's compression on her structure, so the body's holding on to it. So it's still alive. So I've forgotten what I'm talking about.
Are you
So
seeing
we
this?
look at like, okay, how do we address that first?
Yes.
We don't, and so there could be other symptoms that she's having. So let's look at that, like brain fog. Oh, got a digestion problem. I can't eat. I've got this nervous stomach. Oh, so maybe some say, oh, we'll give you supplements. Maybe you need a cleanse. So when you do that, you're actually like that person might feel better for a few days, a week, but what you haven't dealt with is the root cause. It's still going to, when you're throwing stuff into the body, like supplements, cleanses, detoxes all at once, you're just putting extra pressure on a body that's already compromised. So how we like to look at it is, okay, let's first of all look at the structure and get the pressure off the body from the structure before introducing any other things. Because when you bring the pressure off and you can align the way the cerebral spinal fluid is flowing through the body and pumping and nourishing the nervous system and the tissues, when you can bring all the pumps online, the body can deal with things more efficiently. So it will clear things and deal with it. Then you'll look at the blood again and go, okay, where's this person at? So that's when I don't look at it now as detox. I'm more like when I look at somebody's blood, I'm like, okay, how does the urine therapy actually going to benefit this person? Because there's a lot of stuff out there, and there has been a lot of stuff out there for a long time of the way influencers show urine therapy consumption and how to do it and just drink it and do it. And, there's and I got caught up in that big push in the beginning, and I actually damaged myself doing that. So I learned that there's a process to it. And again, it's like you don't need to put the body under so much pressure and stress. Quantity is not better than quality. It's like, okay, what does the body actually need and what's it actually communicating? And we tend to push and force the body into health. We don't, we, as I see it, this is from my perspective with myself through my life and the way I see my clients or other friends in the world, we really like panic when there's something suddenly wrong and we've suddenly got to get rid of it and get it out of our
Mm,
body. I just feel like our relationship with ourself is off, and I really and it goes right back into that. We've been programmed to be disgusted by ourselves. We've been programmed to not trust our body. We've been programmed that there's always an outside influence or authority that knows more about your body than you do. Because one of the things I hear consistently across the scope with clients when they get an analysis of their blood, and I hear it all the time, they're like, I knew that all along.
yeah.
And I'm like, I know, and you did. And they'll say, and the doctors called me crazy. They said, stop worrying about that. We're going in this direction. And I knew, and I felt like nobody was listening to me. I thought I was going mad. And we're stuck in those cycles of that I see a lot of people stuck in of constantly going outside to the influence to have the answer to what's going on in their body. And I know in the beginning it's great to have pieces of information because people like to have pieces of information. But I really feel it's about realizing that you don't have to force and push the body, that there's really this divine intelligence that you can connect with on so many levels. That can impact your health, your wellness, and your vitality. And I know with doing the urine therapy, it just really helped clear out the bullshit.
Yes.
Well, no, I was just so because I'd sometimes be, oh, maybe there is something really bad that can kill me. And it was, and maybe there is something, yeah, that could do, but what it was is just disconnecting me from my power.
Mm.
So, and I don't want to be disconnected from that, even though I'm very aware of certain things that are going on that people say is a damaging thing. I'm aware, but I don't want to be disempowered in this field, in this Taurus, in this energy field, because I want to, I want to impact my environment. I want to be making the changes and influencing the joy and the goodness and the curiosity and the wonder and this divinity of who we are, that we don't fully realize the potential of the energy that is in this body and how we should be using it. So that's how I want to be. I don't want to be going around thinking that, oh, that I have to kill and destroy. I
Right.
don't. So Shivambu helped clear this seek and destroy attitude, this disgust that I had, self-hatred about myself, which was linked to my waters, to just the lower region of the body, which told don't touch that area of your body. You've got to keep it clean and spotless and hidden away, and just all the layers of programming that come from it. Um, yeah. So I think that's why I'm really, really like the thing that I'm really passionate about telling people is I don't care if you don't drink it. I don't care if you don't do anything with it. But if you can do one thing and just change your attitude about the water that's coming out your body and bless it, and maybe just collect it and water it down and give it back to your plants or something like that. I'm not bothered. It's like to bring the awareness to that relationship, that because it's everywhere right now in the communities. We're like blessing our water. Vader Austin has had a massive shift in how we all relate to water, and what she brings. And it's like, so we're blessing it and we're seeing this like, oh my God, this divine intelligence, it's light, it's so much stuff. So if we're bringing it in here, let's have the same relationship when we release it,
Mm.
because it's the same water, if not just a touch bit more sacred and alchemized in a very different way. It's like, let's just bless it. Let's shift this dirt, that we're dirty, that we have no worth, all this stuff that's related into those areas of our body. So yeah, so I'm like, just bless it, love it for what it is, because what I see represented in people's water, I look at it, it's like it's their heart coherence as well, because this blood moves through this Taurus field, the heart, we're just a nest of Taurus fields in our body.
Mm.
And this is where we generate it. And that this is what we're releasing. This is an aspect of who we are. This is your consciousness, this is your life force, this is your chi energy. Just bless it, just bless it on its way and thank it,
So
because it's got it. Yeah.
describing, and I just want to just underline this, and maybe we can go a bit more deep into it. I'm also one who feels and imagines and sees in my inner eye this toroidal field around myself, with the heart as a generator. And, what I've been learning about the heart, about it not being a pump, but being a vortexer of the blood. And you're describing these vortexes and these toroidal, these toruses all around, I'm imagining our blood being vortexed through the body by this amazing thing that we call our heart. And then you said something about the kidneys too, and how the kidneys are their own kind of like there's a field around them, a toroidal field around them, right? And I mean, the refining of our blood through our kidneys, and the result of that being the urine. When something passes through such a such a spiritually divine process as it's going through your body, and we don't even think about it. It's just so whatever. I mean, it's no surprise that what comes out is some kind of sacred and extremely powerful alchemical I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
I was on a conference last week. I was on a summit, urine therapy summit, and David Avocado Wolf said, you know, everything that comes out of our bodies, everything that comes out of our bodies is sacred and holy and good for the earth.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is about, for me anyway, everything that you've said and everything, this is to me, okay, urine is connected to the lifting of the veil, the dissolution of the matrix and all of this programming and these systems of control, because it is so intimately connected to us and to the truth that he expressed, you know, that nothing that everything comes out of us is sacred and holy. And yet here we are in living in systems, you know, having really been forced into systems that are in total inversion of the truth. And, you know, one of those big inversions is, you know, it's dirty. It has to be sanitized. We have to set up sewer systems. We have to, you know, and then those, of course, cause problems on their own. We force the water through pipes and stuff like that. And all of that was called progress and
Yeah.
civilization. And, you know, we were taught that it was a good thing and that, you know, any other way of life was savage or, you know, backward somehow. And I just feel that our relationship with urine and how it is made in our body is a huge dismantler of the matrix, a huge
Hmm.
expander of consciousness. And I know that when I started just purely intuitively guided, started really deepening my relationship with my own waters, the scales fell from my eyes. I saw what I had never seen before. It allowed me to penetrate through illusion in a way that it totally took me by surprise. So, I would love to hear you talk more about plasma. So, when you described looking at this woman's pelvis and you described the hologram, are you referring to seeing a hologram in her blood under the
Yeah. Sorry.
microscope?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to get clear on
Yeah.
that. So you're not like looking at her body and like seeing through, you know, psychic vision or anything like that. You're actually looking at her blood at which is a hologram of her being under the microscope, and you're able to see in her blood what's being expressed through her pelvis and the condition that's being expressed through. Already, I'm
Through my
like,
nervous system. Yeah.
wow, wow. Like, how do you see that? How would you are we gonna when we look at your images of urine, are we gonna see something similar that you could sort of give us a basis for understanding?
No, I actually, well, yeah, I do have some blood images somewhere. Not that specific one. I have some different ones that I could show as just so people could get a visual idea of what that looks like. Um, yeah, sorry. So
Well,
what was
yeah,
the
yeah. Well, okay. So, because I've seen a lot of images of blood under the microscope, but
right,
mainly with reference to the nanotechnology and the attacks that are happening in the blood.
right.
Not what you're talking about. And so, like, this is totally new information for me, and I'm just trying to get my mind
Right.
around.
I'm just seeing if I have it. I may have to just look a little bit deeper
Okay.
um, for that one.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
necessary if it's not easily
Okay.
accessible, no worries. But and we can always, you know, cut and come back to it if we want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So when
Oh,
you use the word plasma, because
mm,
you know, yeah, we say when
mhm.
you explain to people that medically urine is plasma, blood filtrate, you know, ultrafiltrate. are you using are we using plasma in the same sense that we use plasma to describe the fourth state of matter that is found in stars and suns in the universe? How is that plasma related to the plasma in our bodies?
Right. And so there's a difference in how it shows up, but I think like the way they describe the two things is very similar because even that's why I stopped using the word urine because terminology and shapes words, language shape us, and even through the thousands and thousands of years, language has shaped us. So I was like, I can't call it urine anymore because it's a certain word, it's a frequency. And I was like, it's plasma. And then so my exploration, well, what's plasma? Oh, they supposedly water and it's made of nutrient, and they have this explanation of what plasma is. And I'm like, I still can't, it still doesn't feel right. So then I'm in the space of water, and fluid, liquid. I'm like, okay, this feels more real, but what's plasma? What's this other, what is this? And this is where we go totally, you're gonna go totally woo with me because I just don't really talk about this stuff. People are like, she's lost it.
No, you can talk about it here.
Right.
That is,
So,
that's the gray space.
so when I learned with Harvey about the plasma field, so you can see the cells, the red blood cells, the white cells as you're looking through the microscope. But what you see is a lot of space in between. Just looks dark, like you're looking up at the sky, basically. It just looks dark. And this background can have a tone from grays to very dark black. But within this dark area is a mass of the tiniest twinkling lights. It's divine. When I saw it for the first time, I burst out crying with Harvey. I feel like I'm in the universe. There was things that looked like stars and they were all moving around. And I said, look at them, they're all moving. So I said, what is this? What is this? And he said, oh, these are the microorganisms. This is the plasma. This is the field. This is your chi life force. So that's where everything shifted for me from germ theory to terrain to what are these little organisms? You know, the the Harvey said to me, he said, without them, you wouldn't exist. You can't be without them. You can't kill them. You can't destroy them. They just transmute and transform into other things. They're pleomorphic in nature, he says, and without them, nothing lives. So, and he also explained to me that, so this is the same thing with your urine. This is why I wanted people to bless it and put it on the ground. So these organisms, so when a body dies, right, these organisms are still alive in you. They're not dead yet. That's why people that do cranial sacral, when they work with cadavers, they say, but why am I still feeling a pulse in the body? Because they're picking up the pulse of the body. So these organisms are now changing and shifting. They're changing into decomposing the body, breaking it down, when the body's back in the ground and they can get broken down, those organisms go back into the soil and they become new life. They become the the organisms in the soil, they become the plants, the trees, they become everything else. It's a cycle of life and it exists. This exists within us and it's indestructible. No matter what they try to do to destroy it. They'll never fully destroy it. Yeah, they can disrupt it with the energetics and the frequencies, but they're not going to destroy it. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is that you're actually indestructible. Because people tend to think, oh no, the body can break down and die. Yeah, but who you are transforms and transmutes into something else. And what is made up in here goes back into the earth and becomes life. And I sometimes wonder if that's why when we go to places that we feel that, that deja vu, I've been here before. Well, it's probably because you peed there at one point and something grew from you. Yeah. I have all these like bizarre ideas. So to me, this is divine intelligence. This is the perfect divine design ever created that's indestructible, and there's a perfect loop that it can feed itself, just like how we've been designed to do exactly the same. And I don't know if this went off the question and I've kind of forgotten what the question is, but
Love it, love it. I love it. Well, we were
sorry.
just talking about the definition of plasma, and that's
Oh,
when you went
plasma.
into the dark behind the
Yeah,
cells, the cells that are bumping around. Yeah, and then into that you see these microorganisms. So this is the 97% of cells or whatever that make up our terrain. We're like only like 3% or something of human cells, and the rest are all of these other organisms that help us, right?
yeah,
Which is
yeah,
why they have been trying to colonize that with their technologies and take
yeah,
it over and distort it and
yeah.
all of that. Um, and thank
And
God
they
for
can definitely, yeah. Sorry.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, that brings me then to the mineral body, how because of our mineral body and the way that operates, how they attack that part of the body also with its depletion and certain things to put into the body that help the minerals of your body. It's like it's creating major havoc
Right.
within its own mineral body and its system because it knows what to do and it knows how to create the minerals it needs. It knows how to transmute heavy metals. The body is a perfect design. And that's another thing that we've been made to fear is that word heavy metals, because that's a big thing about what we are anyway. Of metals and magnetism, it's part of our energy field. We're so distorted in our beliefs of what was, I've got to fear heavy metals because I've got to get them all out of my body. And, this person says I have to do it this way, so I'll do it that way. And really, I make myself actually worse from
So how do
doing
you
that.
see
Anyway,
that? How do you see that? Just because, I mean, yeah, obviously we have minerals and we have metals within us already, and we are conductive, uh, electromagnetic beings. So, is this why urine is the perfect medicine? Because it's already we're doing this biofeedback loop, and informing the body how to balance itself.
well, yeah, and the body's alchemizing things
Mm,
because anything that is not of the body, that is not like if we put like implants into the body, say, like just with our teeth, with what we do to our mouths, with foreign things that are not of the body. The body is very adaptable and able to strip them things out or transmute them or gather them all in a certain area and try and push them out, to keep them safer in the body so it's not going around the system constantly. We look at
yeah.
like a mass, say in cancer, it's trying to put things in context so it's not poisoning the body. So the body works very efficiently in changing those things because it's the same with the kidneys when it's making that ultrafiltrated plasma. It's got to be perfect because it's not going out just as excess. It's being pumped around the body constantly. I know like 90% of it, maybe more, is being put back into the blood. So it has to be perfect. It has to go in with perfect pH. Its homeostasis has to be accurate because the first place it's going to is right back to the heart.
Mm,
Also with the stem cell production with how that's operating. It's a heart and kidney communication. The heart is saying all the time if what it's going to need, what the systems of the body need. Do I need heart cells? Do I need kidney cells? Do we need tissue cells? So it's coming back through and it's that information is instant. I need this, we need this. go here, do what you need to do. The next flut is coming through. So as it's maintaining this pH and its homeostasis, and what I found with Shivambu and the urine is once you're maintaining that, as long as you're not looping and looping, you're maintaining your water system more efficiently. You're
Mm.
urinating less. And this is what I found on my journey. I'm urinating less, I take in less. Um, and that's how my body's stabilizing, because there comes a point where you shouldn't be just peeing out all the time. You don't, it's, I'm still trying to get like my head around that it's just like you're just constantly flushing the system and you don't need to, because the intelligence is in the communication, not the quantity that you're putting
Mm.
in. It's the information that's contained within. So even in the smallest, tiniest drop, so I've done that under a microscope. I've put like the tiniest drop on that, is really even hard to see with the eye. So it's minute. I'm trying to get it as minute as possible. And I look into that and it's still banging with information and crystallization. And even in this tinier, smaller, compacted area, it's displaying information exactly the same in a bigger amount that I could look at. So that tells me that, but I also see it, the shapes and the patterns are very fractal.
I
So
was just going to
yeah,
say,
so
yeah.
you'll see like a main pattern, but like I was saying in the blood, the darkness spaces in between, it will pack the space in between with smaller fractaling going. As I'm looking smaller and smaller, I'm like, it just goes on, it's endless. So it's not about quantity, it's about the quality of the information of what is being informed around the body. And there's so much we can do from just how we feel about ourselves, of being in this place. Because one thing I did, I mean, I have images of that, was an experiment, to see the influence of intention, just to give yourself a few minutes of focused intention, heart coherence, of creating meaning. This is a big thing that feeling that I've been being shown with the plasma is meaningful experiences, and the importance of creating meaningful experiences with how the plasma responds. So, like I was saying about the person with the blood, with that energy trapped in, it's not that. So, because it's locked in the nervous system, it has meaning, but it's not meaningful in a joyful, evolving way. It has meaning that is being, doesn't want to be, they don't want to bring it up. They don't want to feel about it. It was traumatic. It's horrible. Don't want to think about it. They're still stuck in how it was when they were that age. There isn't a new meaning created around it. Because that's another important thing when you're seeing things like that in somebody's blood, is like, okay, even though we have to release it, it's like having, I don't know if I'm explaining this, fully, because it's just kind of like all new that comes in. Preserved, meaningful experiences bring more life into the plasma.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So yeah, so even like in our relationships, so I was back here. So it's being in that intentional place and bringing meaning to the experience
Right, right. And
that
that's
is deep and heart connected and joyful and uplifting. And I'm not like bypassing shit here. I'm not bypassing trauma. This is about bringing in healing so that you can shift the way the nervous system is responding and relaying this information through your life. Because what it's doing when the trauma's alive, it's you're going about your work, your play, your day. You may see something on social media. This trauma is alive, and it sees the trauma and it thinks, oh my gosh, that reminds me of me, of what happened to me, I'm going to go into my defense mode now. And whatever that is for that person, what they've ever built on, created for themselves, whether they stuff it all or whether they rage it out and it becomes about everything else, it's just about changing the energies that we have around our experiences. So I think what I want to encourage people is to create more meaningful experiences intentionally, because what I've seen with the plasma, when you do that, it changes your plasma. It changes the frequencies in how it presents as color. So, so its color will change. So it's a frequency shift and change, and its crystallization will change.
Okay, that I can't wait to see an image that represents that. If I understand you correctly, it sounds like this is a recontextualization of experience, partly, right? So so that you can move from being in a victim posture in your life, even if only unconsciously, to being in an empowered posture where you're like, consciously, I am the creator. I am a creator being and I'm creating my experience intentionally. So let me take everything that's happened and recontextualize that in terms of what I have gained in wisdom, what I've been able to let go of,
Yeah.
and that actually that actually is shown in the plasma when we, because it sounds like from what you said too that in one drop of blood, because of our fractal nature,
Yeah.
in one drop of blood is all of the information that you ever need to know about somebody, a snapshot in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I would assume that the same is true of the urine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with the urine, it's there's a lot more information.
Oh, wow.
We,
Can we look at some images? Is now a good time to start
yeah,
a tour of some of
definitely.
the images and you can tell us about the story that
Okay.
they're telling.
I think it'll come up.
Here it goes.
Okay. So
Wow.
So this is really early on. So like if we go back to like when I was like looking at urine, and just saying I was thinking I was seeing the holograms. So I get an idea of a person's emotional state, the tone of the plasma field, what activities going on. Um, but what I was seeing was actual imprints. So sorry, I should backtrack a little bit. What I was feeling, that like some of the images and the formations I was seeing was really unique and really different. I wasn't like completely sure what I was looking or viewing, because I already knew that what I'm looking at is a very dynamic fluid with what I'd been learning with blood. So now I'm thinking anything's possible. I was really fascinated by how the biology um, was was moving, because that's another thing. The biology, when you're looking at plasma on the slide, it spins in spirals. So it's not just like you see these lights just floating around. We've got toroidal spirals
Oh my
that are
God.
building up. We have currents and whirlpools. There's a mass of energy and movement that's going on. It's so dynamic in how it presents itself. So the organisms have like, they're really interested around an area that might open up and show something. So I'm always like watching for like, what's the activity, what's going on. So I'd only been looking at urine at this point for 4 months, and this was my own urine. And I saw this image. And as I'm like looking at it and I'm like, is that Buddha? I'm like, is that really Buddha? Because I had been seeing some really unusual things because I was only looking at my own urine at the time. So I kept seeing images of somebody that looked, they were looking in a microscope. It looked like me. And I could see the things that looked like a microscope. There was other things before this that it showed me that blew my mind. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, come on. Really, Buddha? This is like, so. So I'm not, so I'm in like a massive curiosity. I'm like, hi, 4 months looping urine. You're high as a kite, man. You're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sleeping. I'm sitting 10, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, looking in the microscope. Where did I get that energy from? Because I can't do that now. That's intense. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Buddha. And it was really, I remember the stages where I was at, in my life. And it was like, and it was like I was being informed, this is really important.
Uh,
This is really, it means something. Um, and to me, it was like because I'm an artist first. I love art. I'll paint, I'll draw, I write, and I was like, this is just pure art. I was like, we are pure art in motion, and this is not like Buddha is communicating to me. This is just like the symbol. This is how perception, consciousness, even the fluid, the relationship, it's communicating back in a way to me that I can interpret.
yes.
I am not putting this image onto my plasma. I'm not intending it because it's far from my mind. I don't even have images of Buddha in the house. It's not, I don't follow that tradition, in those ways. So to me, when I saw it, I was like, wow. The so this image anchored me. It really anchored me into, okay, I'm listening. I really have to like show up and listen, and be in that space. Um, so I think it kind of grounded me in at that point. Um, that I was in a place of devotion at this point. So that was how symbolic it was for me because I was like, oh my God, I am totally devoted right now. I'm not only devoted to myself and my health and wellness and to really figuring this out, this human existence, this body, spirit, divine God. I'm like, okay, I'm devoted. I'm totally devoted. So that's how it came through with me at that time.
Well, I mean, I also see like the reflection of the universal being, the master within, the creator, the universal creator. And it's like it's saying that you are one with that is within you,
Yeah.
that it is actively communicating with you. I mean, and it looks like on the backdrop of space and the
Can't make
stars.
any of it up, can you? And his hands, the hands,
Their
and it looks
hands.
caped, his little foot down
Oh
here
my
on his
gosh.
knees. So one thing that I talk about with the clients with these images that come from their blood, and it was something I learned was it's the same with like, a mandala. When you're looking at geometry, you look at even if you're looking at the clouds or trees, just the formations. So I always share that with the blood images. We can tell you what it is, like, and how it's related, to what's going on in your body. But when you spend time with the image, just with like a soft focus, for them, their images have got it's that again, it's that feedback loop. So to spend time with an image from their blood is like, okay, the body recognizes because it knows it came from within itself, but it also knows how to heal that image, and it has so many layers of information to give you visually to heal. And I learned that with Harvey Beagleson from the moment that I burst out crying, looking at my own blood. He said, "You've already started healing because it's acknowledging this recognition of self."
Yeah.
So, what I was finding with the plasma, especially with clients that I work with, because very specific images for them, it's the same thing. So this image for me has so many layers of healing, but it's also an anchor for other people that somebody else could also use. So,
Yes.
so that's why they're so unique and have such depth and meaning because there's so many layers to us for healing, not just like the physical, mental we say, oh, I think we're so multi-dimension and multi-layered. Oh, I know where we missed off about the organisms. I was about to tell you how woo I was.
Yes.
So these organisms that you can see, these are kind of like these are them on the image. So I see them as plasma beings,
Oh,
right? So
wow.
sometimes you can see them, sometimes you can't. They come in and out when they want to. It's like a point of light that shows itself. Same with the images. It always starts with the tiniest point of light that something emerges from as it comes into, this physical existence. I
Mhm.
actually believe that all these things exist. So we were talking about the plasma on the outside. So these guys, all in us, there's trillions and billions of them, and they all have consciousness, and they can all communicate. They're all Taurus skills, and they're all magnetically dynamic and electrically sensitive. They're doing their thing. So they're plasma being, but I feel that, so when we look at the plasma in the outer, the outer, how is it different? They exist there too. We have like our plasma body that they exist within and communicate within. So they're invisible. And like in the plasma, they're invisible until they're not.
Well,
Same with the
yes.
information, it's invisible and unknown until it's made visible.
Right, like an electron that appears, or oh, it
Yeah,
just it when we're focusing on it, or and I can't help but think, well, as above, so below, as within, so
yeah,
without. It's
exactly.
the same being, and we literally are a universe.
Exactly. And we are existing within a bigger body. I
Yeah.
used to say, I would be like, so those tiny lights, I'm one of them like tiny lights in a massive system of other tiny lights. And it just keeps going on like that. You
Mhm.
know, um, and even, I mean, it's an image we can show in a minute. I don't know if anyway, I don't want to jump into that without the image because that's taken in so many directions to go.
Oh,
Yeah, so
yeah.
these beings, they can be visible and they can be invisible when we look at the blood. And then the same at the out, there is a relationship here. I don't like to give it a definition because I find I get myself stuck even with saying it's plasma. I get stuck with definitions because I'm like, it's even like when people say, oh, well, protons. And I'm like, oh, what's that? I don't think it's a specific shape. So I look at things more as activity and relationship and then
Mm.
partnership instead of like, because we've broken things down into pieces for so long that that's how we've disassociated so much from the body as bits and pieces and parts. I want to
Yeah.
take it back to no, it's this unique relationship. This is all a relationship with everything that's going on within us. So then when we're taking in our urine, we are really committing to that relationship with ourself,
Yes.
with God, with everything sacred. And I really want to like, because I hear so many people and I hear for so many people, well, I tried it, it didn't work, and I did this and I did that. And it's like, just just take it slow.
Mhm.
There's no rush. Everything else is telling you to rush and that you've got to get things done really quickly. But you can live a really long time doing things a lot slower. So just so I really want that for people. It's like to really be able to drop into their body, to see this mass of relationship that's going on so that they can learn, okay, how is your relationship with yourself and your body? It takes it right back. I can remember people ask, well, what part of your body do you like and what part don't you like? It's like, it's just having that relationship with the whole of yourself. Yeah, sorry, I kind of,
No, no. I mean, we've been so parsed and so compartmentalized, and this is the
yeah.
dis-ease that we've been living under with this imposition of an alien consciousness upon our own. And it's just so miraculous to come back into relationship, come back to wholeness, And did I understand you correctly when you said, so like this is obviously a static image that you took, but when you're looking at this under the microscope, you are seeing the movement of these all of these plasma beings and the vortexes and the, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that
Oh
must
my
be
gosh, it's incredible. It is
amazing.
beautiful to watch. I'm sorry I didn't have any videos ready for that, but yeah, everything's in motion. Everything's communicating and has things that it's doing that it's just even when the droplet is on the slide, you have a whole organization going on the circumference because there's a
Ah,
lot of activity to keep that circumference stable, to keep the tension,
right.
so even in somebody's plasma, that tension stress level, you can read that in somebody's plasma if it's strong or if it's weak, if they collapse real easily, if they dry out, if somebody's dehydrated. You can see those kind of things as well.
Fascinating.
Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So that whole alien thing, because seriously, I've been into aliens ever since I was a kid, ever since my dad took me outside to go look for like aliens and flying saucers. So I've been totally obsessed. Um, I actually feel that all exists within us. So
Yeah.
it's not about being interstellar, it's about being interstellar to because this is the bridge, this body, for all that's going on, that's around us and within us. So yeah, so I kind of like that analogy also. And I think as well, I've always had that outer relationship, even with these like bright lights, these dots, these moving things. Because that was something when I was with Harvey, I was like, well, this is fascinating. I said, there's so many of them. They don't even bump into each other. It's like they sense each other. They all have a relationship with each other. They're not like chaotic. They're not like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were there, in my pathway. They're very aware of, but they're aware of each other before they see each other. So that's another thing that the crystallography shows, and the way it moves through the fluid. It shows that it responds before it actually before something is visible.
Mm,
So it's already sensed it in the formlessness of what it is, the energetic field. So it's responded in a certain way. Um, in a sense, how I can explain that is it comes to a stop, because I used to be like, why is it stopping? And then I would realize that why it had stopped is because within like a few seconds, something opened up and formed right in front of its pathway. So
yeah.
it stopped to give it space. It didn't think, no, I'm just going right through anyway. So it's these unique relationships of like, I know that it knows itself so well that it knows when things are going to show up. So it knows where to place itself. It knows how to hold itself. It doesn't have to take up the space for itself. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah.
so incredible to watch. And then within that space that's left, after a minute or so, that fractal, that smaller aspect, can fill that space in between maybe where those two creations were forming
Yeah.
themselves, in a
Yeah.
sense. So it's kind of that's how we are within ourselves, and to remember that, to give ourselves, that space, that we don't have to rush, that it's okay. Our bodies are listening all the time. Our body's actually got us. It knows what it's doing, and it's been doing it for a really long time, that you don't really have to think about it. We
Yeah.
don't think like, have to breathe now. Oh, must remember to take a breath, otherwise I'm gonna die. Everything is doing it for its own its own consciousness, because it's all conscious. It all has its own consciousness, its own perception, its awareness. So yeah. So
Well,
sorry, go off the
you,
plan
you, you
again. Anyway.
no, no. This is all just so amazing. And I mean, I feel like I'm in love. just looking at the image, I feel so in
Right.
love with creation, and I'm also laughing inwardly at how the mind has been so deified when it actually knows nothing. You know, we've been placed under such an incredible restriction by thinking that the intellect can understand the ineffable and the organization and harmony and dance of all creation in its absolute perfection. To think that we can like mess with that and have any effect on it except for limiting ourselves, limiting our understanding and our
Right.
discovery of who we are. It's just it's laughable when you see what we really are. And I see each of these little dots as a whole, universe or a galaxy in and of itself, aware of everything else. And yeah, it's like you say, right? We can just relax and chill
Yeah.
out a little bit more because
Yeah.
we ain't running the show.
Yeah. And
I mean, the
yeah, to really
mind.
do, yeah, to really do that, to switch off from the noise, because that's another piece that I see in people's plasma. I can see when someone is under the influence of the noise, that there's distortion, that there's maybe spiritual imbalance because they can't make that connection within themselves, because there's too much noise in their system that the energy can't communicate efficiently through the system. Um, so things get blocked, things get trapped, and you just get stuck in a loop of like, I don't know, hopelessness, overwhelm, stress, anxiety. And not to say we don't have overwhelm, but I'm talking more about like systemically,
Yeah.
that that's the pattern, and that the pattern is always to look outside the self, to get the help, to get well. And not to, but that again, that's a pattern that's really been reinforced and built into people. So I get it. I do. I
Yeah.
really get it. I have like total compassion and understanding for what people get like stuck in and need help and support and need to go to other people. But I just think there's a lot of, I don't know, that I think the whole like you and me, we've probably been in the alternative realm for a really long time of wellness and health and all the whole conspiracy stuff for a long time, so we know how intense it's been. And I think I'm at the point now where I'm like, nothing shocks me that comes out because it's all, well, we heard that like 10, 20 years ago. I processed that, understood it, couldn't understand why we were still disempowered as humanity and we weren't rising up and why things weren't changing. And that's kind of like the theme that ran through my life a lot, to the point now where I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I can't push that. All I can do is what I can do here.
Yeah.
And that is what is going to have the biggest effect and the biggest impact on this area that I'm living in my community. And that is, so that's my it's my responsibility to be well, to be healthy, and not to pollute other people or influence anybody in certain ways, but really so that's why what like the plasma and the images, it felt like such an incredible expression of art that I felt like this people will get this,
Mm.
because this is beauty, this is organization, this is form, this is shape, this is because and even the way art informs us, what people create, the colors and the flow, it has an impact and effect on us. So it was always my desire and like dream to have a room filled with the images that people could just be immersed in, just to take in the effect and the calmness of it, and also the this is you. This is not just this person's urine and expression, because it's universal. I see, I'll just go to this. Oops. Why won't it go to my next one? Um, Continue to share. I've probably forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, we're all so unique, you know? Um, And we're also unique in the how we express ourselves. But there's two real distinct patterns in plasma, and they can display themselves in a multitude, a multidimensional array of different here. This shape will show up more like it has 90-degree angles,
Right.
you know, and it's very focused, it's very bright, it's very powerful. It has a lot of direction. It knows where it's going, it knows what it's doing. It's totally focused on its mission. And and it's only that the boundary actually stops it from moving, because some of the crystallography will actually shoot out past the plasma and keep going. So it's like if that fluid was just there, that energy would just keep moving. So it's unstoppable energy. And when it's like 90 degrees, that's like that it's because like people say, oh, we don't get 90-degree angles and straight lines in nature. But when you look at this deeper and deeper with the microscope, you'll see that it's not actually straight lines. It's crystal angles and formations and you know, like way quartz crystal
Or
forms and it has its peaks. So when you look at it deeper, it's a lot like that. And so as I just so over the years and the hours of just observing it in this way, it was really informing me that it was the masculine
yeah.
aspect of the plasma.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly what
So,
I
you
thought.
know,
The
and
masculine and the
sometimes
feminine on the other
yeah, and
side.
this is the feminine. This is nature. This is how nature expresses herself. And so what can happen as well in like a very dynamic relationship, the two can come into relation. So they will express themselves in a different way when they're moving together. They have periods of rest, right? It's really unusual. It's like a breath because it's moving like it's breathing. That's another thing. Toroidal, but things move as a breath. They flow backwards because you can see the crystallography go forward, then it'll pull back.
Like a
Then, so
wave.
it moves like a breath and it has these moments of pause. So when the masculine and feminine, these two are flowing together, it's like they have this pause where it listens for a moment, then it'll brighten up with light and glow, and it will take off in a direction of like action. And then after a minute, it'll stop and it'll pause like it's thinking for a moment, and then it'll move out in I I didn't know we'd be talking in this way, or I would have had videos that could really show how that relationship. So what that shows in a person is they have this relationship with themselves where they can deeply listen to life and know when to act and move forward. So it's kind of like a thing that I like to look for, you know, in people when it's like, you know what, when you've got that relationship just flowing. And I'm not saying like if it's not happening, it does not mean it's not perfect already, because we can be so focused in a state where we need a lot of that masculine energy. We've got to get something together. It needs a lot of focus because I've just got to be in action right now because life's just demanding that from me. Or not that life's demanding it, it's like this force or this energy that's moving through me. This is how it's moving. This is the relationship right now, and this is where I'm at. Um, so it's beautiful to see it because it expresses itself in so many ways. Um, yeah, and this blue, this is actually from a baby. This is how we are when we come into the world. We are just divine, um, in this sentient way of expressing ourselves. It's like think that this the baby just fully knows it's totally divine and
Wow.
present with all of life, and it's just such a and the blues, the color of blue, that like to me it's just like divine wisdom. It's like I never thought that you could look at plasma and it would be blue. You know, we look at like when I look at blood or that plasma field, it's always dark, it's
Uh,
transparent. It has that tone. But babies and children are blue. People, when they're going through certain things in their life, will have blue also. But plasma is also green. It has this emerald green. And this really these colors represent when the body's actually really hydrated. This is when you can see that a body's hydrated, it's self-regulating itself, so it's feeding itself. So somebody that is displaying, and that's another topic of conversation, is just about food. A well-hydrated system where their body's making internal waters. Internal water that's deuterium depleted is a hydrated body, not a body of somebody that's been drinking a lot of water, because these blues and the stuff from children, they're all from breastfed. They're not
uh,
eating lots of food. The same with the when I'm looking at the green emerald tones. Um, those people, because I've looked at that mostly in the urine community, so that's more evolved within them is the green plasma.
mm,
It's very hydrated. It can live on my slide for days without dehydrating and drying out. And after a few days, when it has dried out, it's gone to this phase, it can actually rehydrate itself and it comes back. And I'm like, so there's so many things about plasma. That's why I'm like, what is this stuff? You can't just call it plasma. I'm like, there's too much going on here. It's too multidimensional to be one thing.
oh, absolutely.
So it can do things. It can. So this is another thing. I was working with somebody that uses the biogeometry on their plasma, and then we're coming back to the 90 degrees again. So this is very similar to Ibra Ibrahim Karim, the biogeometry, the biosignatures, the Egyptian. Is he a professor? I feel so bad. Don't. Anyway, so he has a specific pendant and a specific. He calls it the L90.
Okay.
It's a 90-degree angle for structuring, for protection. I think it's the one they used in Europe to, and I haven't read much into it because I only just started reading about it, because they put this L symbol on all the, I think the electrical pylons and all the towers, and it changed the whole town or something, the vibratory effects. So why did I go to L90? Oh, I forgot where I started from. It's a pity we can't just rewind so I can go what did I just say.
Well, we went back to the masculine pattern.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot. I was going somewhere.
It's
That's the
all
thing.
good.
Like I said, I think I've said it at the beginning, we can go down so many directions here. It was specifically about the plasma, how it responds. So yeah, so I had the plasma on the slide. The person that infuses it with the L90 on their bottle, I put it on the slide, set my camera up, had it positioned where I was going to be looking. So I'm looking through the microscope. I've got my camera set up. And the next thing what I see is like, it's like a fast movement. I'm like, what's going on? I look at my camera and I can see, oh, I've missed what happened. So I'm looking at the camera. I'm like, I don't understand what happened. So I look at the slide and I can see that the slide on the mounting block, which doesn't move, I have a dial underneath that I have to turn to move my slide. It had forced the slide, the whole thing right across. So I'd lost the image that I was looking at through here. And I was like, how did that move? So I look at my slide and I notice that it's not a spherical drop anymore. It's shot a protrusion out from its what side? From its right side. So it looked like a massive tail. So it gone into a teardrop shape. So the force of it pushing and changing its shape moved my slide
Oh my.
across my microscope. So I sat there like this, like,
that I don't that defies.
Yeah. I'm just like, what? I can't move this thing unless I turn my dial.
Well, I mean, that's got to be somehow related to the fact that our plasma can. They did an experiment where they took like a glass full of plasma or something, and they ran a house, all the
Right.
electrical.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it ran the electricity in
Yeah.
a house for a day or something.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's it. We really, really don't know. That's in one drop
I
on the
mean,
slide. I always say to me, I said, that's just one drop. Can you imagine like the fluid that we're made of? Because we're mostly fluid.
yeah,
It's like, okay, we are like missing something about ourselves here of
big time.
how, and I know we're kept in this space with other frequencies that really distort, like I said, and create a lot of noise for people in the body. You can see that in the plasma. Um, but I do really feel it's key to use your plasma if you're not using it, really to change your relationship with it. And really, this is really about changing your relationship with yourself, but really
Yes.
change that relationship with the water, the waters that run through your body, because you really truly don't understand the power that's in there. And just to acknowledge that there is something more than what you, I, and the rest of us realize about us is just to acknowledge that in some way that you are changing that within yourself.
Yes.
And I do believe that I do believe in that, like when there's a certain amount of people doing a certain amount of things, that it's gonna have a huge impact then on how everybody else does it. And we just have to be that bigger force and not think that something else has more power than us, because that keeps us confused. It keeps us helpless. It keeps us numbed out, keeps us scrolling because we think we can't do anything to change. And I feel that this is key, the key thing that we can do to change, to affect our personal environments that we live in, the communities that we live in, because that's where we're placed. This is where we're positioned,
Yeah.
and this is what we can do. Get out in nature, take your shoes and socks off, get your feet on the ground, listen to the birds, the way the water's flowing, and really disconnect from technology. I'm sorry, it's so invasive nowadays, and
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because that's another
Well, but
big
it's just
area.
what you're saying, Fiona. I mean, in spite of all of the interference, all of the imposition, all of the attempts at control and suppression, our plasma is still creating
Yeah,
this
yeah,
miraculous. I mean,
yeah,
we're indestructible.
yeah. And it's tuned in. It knows, this is not passive. The same as with the plants and trees, it's not passive. This is a communication going on. It's weather, it's everything. Plasma is like weather as well. The way it moves, the different things that I've seen it do. I've been looking at, like, I don't know if I can, well, they won't know I'm talking about theirs right now. You can see how sometimes it looks like weather moving through the plasma. And what I'm noticing, like, because it takes me a while to look at somebody's plasma. I spend a lot of time. It's really intensive, and it can take days, weeks, sometimes months, because I'm watching so many things shift and change. Because sometimes, like, if I can look at somebody's plasma and there's the read is right there and the information, and it's like, wow, yeah, and then I can go back to it in a couple of days. And it's really interesting because I've never seen this before. So I think that's why I'm sharing it.
Mm.
It looked like the plasma created a massive cloud over everything so that no, and the way it informed, it wasn't so that nothing could be seen by me. It was like, this person's obviously, there's something going on right now in their life. because there's this massive, and it's not like, and it's not a negative thing. I never look at it as a negative thing. It's like, because even the nervous system, even like with trauma, the body is still protecting its human, and it's protecting it how it knows best to, with the
Yeah.
way the energy is actually able to move. So it's just like this huge, and I'm fascinated by it, and I'm waiting for it to break. So I'm waiting for like, I'm just so fascinated because it's like I can see color underneath, so I know it's emotional. So
Oh,
there's something that this person's just, maybe they've got like their protection up, maybe they're processing something in life. And right now it's not showing up in and to be perfectly honest, that's enough information. That
yeah.
is the information, this cloud just over the space, for that person. There's so much, like when I show people their plasma, there's so much more that they can interpret from like the pieces that I can give them from it. It can make so much more sense to them. Um, so yeah, so what is this stuff? What is going on? Even how we look at water, you know, um, and I think it really brings it back to that the devotion we need for ourselves. It's not a woo-woo word anymore to have for yourself or for anybody else to be like a devotee, because it had such a floaty feeling to it. It's no, be freaking grounded and devoted to yourself
Yeah.
because that's where the magnificence is. And that is where you're going to effectively make big freaking changes. Big freaking changes that you don't even know about yet.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing that presents itself in the plasma. You see the past, you see the present, and you see the future.
You are kidding.
So it's not just crystallography. Sometimes I call them soul imprints,
Oh,
or it's an imprint from a preserved. I don't know if you want me to just. Well, here, let's go. Oh, because we've talked about this, I'll quickly. Um,
wow.
what a coherent pattern and like a non-coherent pattern. So somebody that like the non-coherent, total overwhelm, the nervous system is in sympathetic mode. There's still, so this is something I talk about, the difference. There's a difference between structure and coherence.
Right.
So your water can still have structure. This non-coherent one is showing structure because it's still trying to create structure from what it can get access to, but it just looks disjointed. Angles are off. It looks jaggedy, and it's not filling in the space. It just doesn't seem like it's communicating across all systems. Whereas when you look at the coherent pattern, it's filling in the space everywhere. It wants to be as small as possible so it can it's just coated and it's vibrant. And something that I tune into these patterns is like the architecture of the cathedrals, the big cathedrals, when you go in the domes or
Yeah.
you go through the doorways, the way these big arches and they're like multi-layered, with the ridges. Because it's always like,
Yes.
well, why do they have those ridges? What's the point? Why is this all like designed this way? And it's because it's a resonant chamber,
Mm.
right? It's resonance that's being and its angles and its specific curves. So when I see like plasma like this, I'm like, freaking resonant chamber. This person is resonating. The information within them is all aligned. Things are communicating, but it's going outward also, into
Yes.
the biofield, the outer biofield, because I believe the plasma body has its own biofield
Yes.
as well. Because I don't know if I have images of that right now. But yeah, so one is structured and coherent water. The other is structured, but it's no coherence. So I
Yeah.
think that's the difference well when we're looking at like the water we drink. People say, oh, my water's structured. I'm like, yeah, but is it coherent? Is
Right.
it communicating across all systems? Because we can be structured and we can look like this, and say, well, I've got structure. But are you resonating? Is there coherence in that structure? So
Well,
again,
that's like,
going back to the urine,
yeah.
your
Structure is like 3D, right? Coherence is like 5D,
oh,
for lack of a better.
multi-dimensional. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
totally different. So this was the experiment with, remember I was saying just about what you can do for yourself
Yeah.
if you're not wanting to drink it or do anything like that. Um, so this, what was I going to say first about this? So I don't have the image of it, but I had a control sample as well because this was urine that was split into four different samples. We had the what did I just call it? The control sample
Mm-hmm.
to look at, and then we had three different other samples. I didn't do this experiment. Somebody else was, and they did not give me any information about what was intended into the bottles. They were just labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. That was all the information I got. So when I looked at one, there was just nothing. It was just kind of sludgy. There wasn't anything going on. There was movement and stuff, but I wasn't seeing like any crystallization. So the other three bottles were labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll just explain so the green one, what the person did for this. She was just intending love energy, her heart, her love for herself, the love for all the other things that she has in life, the joys and everything else. Few minutes. So when I looked at her plasma, there was a lot of crystallography, and the main color was green that was resonating through the crystalline structures. So
Mm.
as I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, whoa, this is so cool. I have no idea what she's done. And there was all kinds of other images as well, because she's an artist. So she'd drawn specific art images that were actually in the plasma also. The blue one. So this was all about her here, her voice, her expression, how she communicates. And I think she was saying at one point she was actually singing and toning. So
Mm.
the plasma was crystallized the same as the green, but everything was blue. I was just like, I at this point, I'm like, oh my God, what is this? What has she been doing? And then so this one at the top. So what I had to do with this image, because when I was looking at it through the microscope, it was too bright to get a picture of, so I had to turn my light right down because the quality of the crystallization and the amount of it was like platinum. It was like a mirror, reflecting back. So it was really hard on the eyes. So I had to turn it right down so you don't get to the fullness of the color. So, and what you told me about this was her connecting with her higher self and that whole, the divinity with the mother and her higher self connection. And this was it. So we're looking at the same urine separated into four different things, given different intentions, one not given anything at all, completely ignored. So it just looked like sludge. And this was only like a few minutes.
Oh,
So if this can show up in this experiment in this way, people will say, well, blah, 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 whatever. This is what we can do for ourselves. We can shift that frequency and resonance within ourselves with the same intention. And you
that
only
is
give
good.
yourself a few minutes. And that is about like creating them preserved images and moments with meaning for yourself. Because remember, the blood is flowing through the heart. It's spinning, it's a vortex, it's a hub of consciousness and activity and light that's going on here. And where does at least a third of that blood where does it go immediately? Do you know?
What, after the heart?
Yeah, a third of it, at least.
I
A
don't know.
third of it gets, and really quickly, it goes right to the kidneys. It's like,
Okay.
and that's where it sends most of that blood from the heart that gets squeezed and massaged and all them other cool things. So anyway, so yeah, so that's what you can do for yourself. Know that doing this creates a change. Because I know a lot of people kind of tend to, and I know them because I have friends whose faith in giving to themselves or that something's not working, but just know that it is,
It
and
is
that
working.
being consistent is going to help and support that, and just know that you're freaking gorgeous from the inside out. We're a
Yeah.
spectrum of color and frequency and oh my gosh, such potential. With so much potential.
Is
So
is this person the one the images we just saw was she drinking her urine or no?
she has, yeah, but
She
not
has.
like sense of like looping every day, but is really aware of it, but also lives in a very she's in a very prayerful state of her body also.
Mm.
You
Uh-huh.
know that there is a beauty to who we are as humans. She's an artist,
Yeah.
and she's young. She's in her 20s. I don't know why I'm giving all these descriptions, but yes, she has, and I think more so now because this was a few years ago we did this together. We're
Okay.
hoping to do a bit more as well. So
Great.
yeah. Do you want to move on? Do you have
Yeah,
time?
let's move on. Let's do one more. We're getting close to our 2 hour mark. I mean,
Okay. So
there's so much so much more, but
So I'll do this then, because it's a way, looking at those things that are preserved within us. This was urine from a pregnant woman, and she was two, right? And I was looking at it. At first, I thought it was like a peyote mushroom because it was kind of giving off that vibe. I'm like, and then I was like, oh, it looks more like, and then it was just like, I was just like, I was like, oh my God, that's a nipple. That's a breast.
yeah.
I was just like, and I was seeing it everywhere. And so I Googled a breast and I was like, what it looks very thin. I was looking at like at 2 weeks before giving birth, I was just reading this information that milk ducts in the woman's body are fully developed and this was taken I didn't know at the time she was going to give birth in 2 weeks as well. So it was that I was like, oh my God, it's so obvious. It's so wonderful that it expresses itself.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. So I just never know what I'm going to see because, like I said, everybody's so unique and everybody has just there's so much diversity to us. We're just so who know? I never know. See, don't time because this is a really cool one. So sometimes when I receive like people's urine, I can't always right away. It's just the length of time and just like backlog and just work and so I'd met this festival. She'd seen my stuff on Instagram. She was like, "Oh, it's so," and because she was interested, it was early days on when I was like, "Yeah, you should send me your urine." Blah, 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 exchange names and that. So I didn't know her. It's not a friend. It's not somebody I know. She sent me her urine. It took me like 5 to 6 months to look at her. It was actually Christmas. Show you how devoted I am. I got my microscope at Chris. So it was Christmas Day. I was looking at her urine, and so I'm going to explain this image a little bit. This one, if you can see my cursor.
Yeah.
I was looking at this. I was like, and it's that field of communication. I'm not like saying what it is. Sometimes I'm just so like wide and in that place of curiosity and like I'm just not even there. Sometimes I don't even have a sense in my body, because I'm here
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm viewing into this small world. Like sometimes I'm body. So it was like, oh, this is how this is a little girl. I was like, okay, you can see her eyes up here. See the two eyes? And
Oh,
she has a little mouth and nose, and she has a triangle on her head. This is her hair. This is the representation of her body. She has what looks like beautiful wings, her legs. And then there was this image here, which looked like it was on her arm. So under the microscope, the images are a lot clearer than when I take the photograph, so they're not as sharp. And I was like, oh, look, a little crow, a little raven on her arm. And I was like, this is a bizarre image. And then all I could hear was baby girl, September. And I was like, this other image that you can see looked like it just looked like a little girl with a hat on. It felt real grandmother energy. Felt like I was in the 18th century actually when I was looking at these. So it's Christmas Day, baby girl, September. This is weird. How do I get in touch with her and say, I looked at your pee and I saw these images, said baby girl, September. I'm like, people are just going to be like, she's just weird. She's some reader. So so I send her, I waited 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because like I couldn't do it. So I send her, and it was just so that's all part of the story. I sent her the information and she sent me a text back. She said, well, not so many terms, get the F out. I just found out I'm pregnant. It's January. She said my baby's September. So I was like, all my goosebumps. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, because it was another like that Buddha. This was
Yeah.
like, this is when this kind of information was really, because I was reading it about myself, and I was cool with that. But this was other people's. And I was like, how do I relay this? Because there's been some incidents that I didn't to other people, and they're other stories in themselves.
Oh,
So I told her that. And the question she said to me, should what I don't understand is, should I gave you that urine before I was pregnant? I said, I know. I said, that what makes it even effing more cooler, right?
well, that reminds me of the other story you said about the cloud covering
Yeah,
urine has been separated technically from the person,
yeah,
yet it's
yeah.
still aware of the person.
Yes, it's still in communication. The fields have not separated. So
Yes,
that's why, like, it's not, I always think, like, it's not like we receive or we tap in, it's like we always have access. We have constant access. We just have to remember that about the, okay, okay, if I do this here, I'm just remembering I have access to all this. I don't need to tell myself, oh, I have to tap in. No, you're already in. Stop thinking you have to tap in because you're already in. That's another stage you're being made to go through that has another belief system
that's right.
entwined within it. You're already in it. You have access to it. So
Yeah.
this one got even cooler. So I gave her that information. Like I said, we're not friends. We Kate like texting. So I was like, well, this is freaking amazing if she gives birth to a baby girl. So I'm waiting for September, to baby girl or a baby boy because that would be really cool if she has a baby girl because there was so much more symbology in this image um for her and for the child. That's a deeper layer that was for her. So these taken 20 hours before she gave birth. The thing is, I didn't know when she was going to give birth, right? So in September, and I work constantly like a cycle with people's urine, and hers was coming up, and I thought, oh, I'm going to look at hers. It's September. I want to see, I'm thinking I'm going to see the little child because that's what we've been seeing and looking at. So I put it on the slide, and I'm seeing these amazing explosions of like light and torus fields, toroidal energy just exploding, right?
Incredible.
Then this image, the brightness of the outline. I looked at that and I went, it just looks like a big yoni opened,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I thought at the time, I thought, oh, she must have given birth. She's not a person that would put it all on, Facebook or because she doesn't live that way. So I was like, oh, she must have given birth. I think that's what this is about because I looked through it. There was no images of a child or anything else that I'd been seeing. So again, it took me a week or two to get in touch because it's just, and I'm like, I saw these images in your urine, and this is, this told her like the day and everything that it was done because she said, should I've given birth? She said, you took those pictures 20 hours before I gave birth because she was the one that told me that because the images were like date stamped, with the date, and the time. And she was like, as in labor.
Oh my God.
How and again it's like we don't have a personal relationship. We have now, it's
Yeah.
very different now because I look at her child's urine and stuff too. Um, so yeah, so it's like it blows me away every time. Everybody's different. There's always something to learn, to know, to be informed. It's ever evolving. It's so multidimensional. I never know what I'm going to expect when I look at someone's urine. I know like specific things that form, but I never know what it's going to say, express.
It's just as unique as the person. I mean,
Yeah.
my mind is totally blown. If somebody wants to work with you, like how do you work with people? I know you've mentioned clients and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What is that process?
Um, there's a few different ways. Like I don't have my website up right now, and I know I can hear all my friends going bloody typical. She's still not done that website. Um, Probably the best way to get in touch with me is through email. So what it looks like, there's different things I can do. Sometimes I can be looking at the blood and the urine. Sometimes people just want me to look at their urine. Sorry, this is a terrible question because this is where I slip up because it's really difficult to put a price on it. It's very
Mm,
difficult for me, when I look at like, I'm like, seriously, dude, I could spend 60 hours on someone's urine. How do you price that out?
yeah, yeah.
At an hourly rate. So to navigate that has been really it's just been a challenge because I've had to look at because people say, well, you don't value yourself. And I'm saying, like, I do, but I don't value a system that puts a price on an hour on what we bring. So what I tend to do with people is like, if you've got to trade something you do in the world and you can trade that with me, or there's something else that we can do where we're not necessarily in this monetary system. If you want to like give me a donation, that's totally fine. But I find that is a real unusual area for people because they're like, oh, how much do I do? It's still got a lot of energy to it. So I'm like, show me what you got. What do you do? How can we like be in relationship and partnership with what we do? So I don't want to be in that system that's saying, yeah, well, I've just spent 60 hours and I'm $100 an hour.
Right.
For what? So you can see these images and that, I can't
You
work my
can't
head around
quantify
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
difficult. So I prefer that one-on-one. What do you do? How can
Hmm.
we like trade that out instead of being in this fiat system?
Right, right. I couldn't agree more. I've had a lot of questions around that
Yeah.
myself. So we could send people to your Instagram and they could message
Yeah.
you, and then you could give them your email address if they wanted to get in touch. Okay, okay. Just
Yeah.
want
That's probably the best way
because I
until
know that people are going. I want to see pictures of my urine.
yeah.
They're going to want to be able to get in
Well,
touch
yeah,
with you.
and again, it's to have that image because it's something you can keep your attention to. It's a reminder and it's a remembrance of the body. Like, yeah, that's me. That's who I am.
Yeah, yeah. In that moment, in that
Yeah.
moment.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
and to know that it's evolving after it's left you, still in communication with you holographically is
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Yeah. And again, that's that whole relationship of releasing the water, your waters, that
Yes.
information's contained in. And like, again, when it goes back into the soil, it recreates life. And most of the time, people are peeing their life force away. It gets blasted with chemicals. It gets I'm sorry, I feel like my not so coherent language starts coming out like, so it gets attacked. It's another level of assault and attack on your body, your plasma body, your existence. They are taking your power and they are deciding how it's going to be treated and how it's going to be taken care of. And that is your life force that has all those meanings, all that information within it. And you're also still connected to it.
Right, right. Oh,
You're not
I hadn't thought
separate.
about that. That's true,
So if
right?
it's
So,
getting blasted with chemicals
yeah,
and that's still connected with you in your field, you still have access to it. Where are you in that moment with your focus and intention?
right.
Is it like in love and joy? Because maybe you can counteract that effect,
Yeah.
or are you like the with the noise in the system, the spiritual imbalance, all your stuff's getting blasted by chemicals? Are you feeling that?
Yeah. I mean, well,
There's so many, that's
that's
why I
why
said
you
it's so many
said,
levels. Is this is so
yeah,
multi-dimensional on how um yeah, it's just
better to collect it in a way. And
yeah,
like you said, give it to the plants or, give it
yeah,
back to the earth somehow.
yes.
I
And
mean,
let it be life again,
hmm wow.
naturally.
I had
Yeah,
not considered that, but now seeing how it is still holographically connected, that's a whole different
yeah,
way of thinking. Yeah.
yeah, totally different.
Well, Fiona, I can't thank you. And I want to see so many more of your slides. I have so many more questions. I hope you'd consider coming back another time maybe
Love
and
to.
we could look at some videos or
I'd
something.
love to, yeah.
Totally geek out
We could
on
be a
that
little bit
stuff.
more organized with stuff. I like to be a lot more organized. And I can
Well,
actually then share with you the because I don't want to share it just yet. I've just started on something really new that's
mm,
just it's just another level of like the waters, the plasma, just how interconnected we are with everything. So yeah, I
can't
would
wait to hear more about
love to
that.
share
Yeah.
more.
Well, and everybody, you can see Fiona in Veda Austin's documentary that has just come out. You're featured in that documentary,
Right.
which is super exciting. Veda Austin, the water scientist. So we'll put links to all your links, anything that you want people to know about and want to share, will be in the show notes, obviously. And well, I just want to thank you for honoring the grace space with your presence, your deep knowledge, and everything that you're bringing to this awakening. And I feel like you're such a force, and just who you are and what you do is breaking this matrix wide open with love.
With love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have had so much fun with you. It's been so great, Claire, and I'm so glad we finally got here. What a divine journey that was.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Well, you'll come back
Yeah,
and we'll talk more. Yeah, I would love that. Thank you so much, Fiona.
me too. Thank you.
Well, what do you think? Quite a journey, huh? I can't wait to see her videos. I mean, I love her Instagram channel and I follow it and I've been following it for some time. But it's just a whole other experience speaking with her one on one. Wow. What strikes me most about her work is not just the imagery that she's able to capture under her microscope, but the shift in relationship that it invites in us. So much of modern culture is conditioned to distrust the body. That's what we've been taught, to see it as flawed, fragile, always about to go wrong, and in constant need of external management. And when you see what she's captured under the microscope, it's obvious that it's completely different. The body is obviously alive with intelligence and beauty and creativity. It communicates, it adapts, it organizes, it remembers. And our fluids, our waters are carrying far more information than we've ever been taught to imagine. For me personally, the deeper theme that emerges from this conversation and what I have personally experienced working with my own plasma is self-reconciliation. when we begin to question those narratives of disgust and distrust that have been placed between us and our own nature, well, then we start to take back a whole new dimension of our power. It's really a healing journey, healing the wounds of self-love. That's been the most profound thing for me. Anyway, it can really, even if you don't practice urine therapy or working with your plasma, just being aware of this can help soften you and help you start to listen more and rediscover your body as, not something separate that needs to be dominated or corrected, because that is the energetic signature of the model of reality that has been imposed on this planet and that we are now waking up from and breaking out of. But recognizing and remembering, because it's always about remembering, that the body, the fluids, everything that we are is an expression of life itself, a holy and sacred expression. If you'd like to explore Fiona's work further, you can find her on Instagram. Her channel is called Messages in Plasma. It is an amazing channel where you can see a lot of the kinds of images that we looked at today and a lot more. And, she shares a lot of these images and her observations, like what we discussed today. So you'll see that in the show notes. You can connect with her directly there. She's also featured in the new documentary that Veda Austin has made about water. Super exciting. So if this conversation stirred any curiosity within you, whether it's about water or your body or the deeper intelligence of life, just consider that an invitation for you to deepen your own relationship with yourself. Because that's where it's at. The deeper you go in here, the deeper you see out there. That's my personal experience anyway. Okay. Well, I'll see you again soon with some more amazing people, more amazing interviews. Meanwhile, walk in grace. You've been listening to The Grace Space. To amplify this field, you're welcome to like, subscribe, or share. Thank you.